there are a couple of things we are quickly tying up at this end, and we should be going live in about 5 minutes. So do stay connected. Thank you very much for joining us for this webinar today. We will follow a quick 15 to 20 minute round of presentations and introductions, and then throw open the floor for questions. We've kept about 25 minutes for questions. I'll start off with the introductions, and I will be your moderator for this webinar. Now we have two very senior diplomats from the Ministry of External Affairs, Government of India, with us today. We're extremely privileged to have them join for this webinar. We have Ms. Vani Rao. She's the Joint Secretary, Overseas Indian Affairs with the Ministry of External Affairs. She's been a career diplomat with a sterling career across several geographies, including Mexico, different parts of Europe. She's also worked in the Americas division at the Ministry of External Affairs, and she was also Deputy Chief of Mission at Israel. Thank you, Vani, for being with us today. Along with Joint Secretary Rao, we have Director Mr. Nagaraj Naidu. Mr. Naidu, he currently heads the Investment and Technology Promotion and the Energy Security Division at the Ministry of External Affairs. He's again a career diplomat, specialist on China, having spent 13 years in various positions in China, and he was Consul General of the Indian Consulate in Guangzhou. Thank you very much, Mr. Naidu, for being with us today. Apart from them, we have Geeta Krishnan from the Indian School of Business. Geeta is the Director for the Center for Executive Education, and we also have Soumya, who's the Associate Director at ISP Hyderabad. Thank you, Geeta and Soumya, for being with us today. And from the OFC team, we have Apurva, we have Preeti, and we have Shreya. So for now, I will stop there, and Vani, may I hand over to you?
Thank you, Sabyasachi. Thank you for the introduction. And everybody who's out there, very warm welcome to the webinar. We are very pleased to connect with you remotely and talk to you about the India Fellows Program. As you know, the overseas Indian community is a very important constituency for the government. We are engaging with the persons of Indian origin and non-resident Indians in all fields. And you have seen this in the Prime Minister's engagements with the Indian community globally, and we have also been very enthused with the warm response that the leadership has received from the Indian community. And during these interactions, we have noticed the interest on part of the Indian community to engage with India in all fields, especially by doing business with India. And the engagement with Indian diaspora has therefore become a very key element of the government's foreign policy and outreach. With this purpose, the Overseas Indian Facilitation Center was set up by the government to help overseas Indians engage with India in the economic field and also through transfer of knowledge. As part of our engagement with the Indian community, the ministry has launched some new initiatives for the overseas Indians, and the India Fellows Program is a very important initiative in this regard. Before we move on to elements of the program that we are offering to you, I would like to share with you the objectives of the India Fellows Program. As Sabyasachi mentioned, I've been a career diplomat, and in my last posting, I was also head of the commercial wing. And I've been working closely with the OIFC in the last couple of years. Through these years, we have sensed that the Indian community is extremely keen to enter the Indian market. Entrepreneurs, business owners from the Indian community, they're looking at the Indian market. They are aware of the immense potential and the opportunities in this market. They want to do business with India. But we've also seen that they lack specific information and knowledge about the economy. They are wary of the regulatory structures and the procedures. They are not sure whether they have identified the potential areas accurately. They are also not very sure about where to locate their business or where to open their office in India. And they usually approach other business owners, others who run business in India for advice. They rely on advice and guidance given by consultants, which may not always be accurate. Often, those who are looking at the Indian market also do not have the means to undertake market research, and they are not confident about selecting local business partners in India. The India Fellows Program addresses all these issues. It's a unique program that has been crafted specially for the overseas Indians, both the business owners and the entrepreneurs. We are using technology and other social media platforms to engage with you in a year-long program, along with a 10-day residency in the reputed business school, India School of Business. This program will connect you with business owners in India, entrepreneurs, academics, business analysts, and others. The highlight of this program would be to bring to you the flagship programs of the Government of India, which you would have heard of. I need not mention all of these, but I would like to highlight Digital India, Make in India, Startup India, and others. IFP is uniquely positioned to bring to you a direct connect with officials in India who are leading these programs. And you will have the opportunity to interact with them closely. The program also gives you a first-hand exposure to the Indian economy, the analytical tools and knowledge that you need, and the benefit of interactions with the business community in India. All of these will be very critical for informed decision making about the Indian market. So through the program, you can go beyond the government's perspective, beyond what the embassy or other officials tell you. Get the benefit of knowing the market and the opportunities through people on the ground. So I would like to end by highlighting that this is the right time to avail this opportunity and get an introduction to the Indian economy. You will hear from my colleagues today about the potential of the Indian economy and the steps taken by the government in recent years to increase the ease of doing business with India. So it's my pleasure to pass on the mic to my colleague, Nagaraj Naidu. Before that, we will play a video by Additional Secretary Overseas Indian Affairs, Mr. Gyaneshwar Mule, who will welcome you to the program and also speak to you about the important elements of this initiative.
Friends, India is the fastest growing large economy and we are poised to become a driver of global economy. This opens up exciting opportunities to engage with India across diverse sectors. We are delighted to bring to you a unique program for strengthening your engagement with India. the India Fellows Program has been launched by the Ministry of External Affairs and OIFC in partnership with Indian School of Business, one of the top business schools in the country. This program is crafted specially for overseas Indian entrepreneurs and professionals who wish to do business with India. It will familiarize you with the Indian business ecosystem and offer a sound introduction on how to do business in India. The program includes a 12-day residential classroom session in India and an opportunity to meet senior government officials, policymakers, domain experts, captains of the Indian industry. You can also familiarize yourself with flagship programs such as Make in India, Digital India, and Startup India. Come on and join this exciting program and partner with the largest growing economy in the world. Thank you.
Mr. Naidu, can I request you to address the participants, please?
I think welcome everyone. I wouldn't start saying good morning, good evening, because I don't know which part of the world you are located in, but it's a pleasure to connect with all of you. India is in a very exciting juncture. 2 years back, if you wanted to bet on the Indian stock market, maybe you would have thought twice. We were pretty much sinking. There was a lot of talk of the I within the BRICS having, being replaced with Indonesia. So that was the state of affairs when we had a new government which brought in a new kind of enthusiasm that completely transformed the way India was projected globally and the way the world has begun to see India. So, this is something that how come within a span of 2 years that this whole rhetoric as regards as where India is, how should one engage with India has changed, must give a lot of food of thought, to all our viewers or particularly all of you who are actually listening to us today. So there is this inherent dynamic within this nation that had to be propelled at some point of time. And it is said that India had potential, but when do we see this potential being actually, being exploited? And this is what we've seen over the last 2 years. The entire system has been shaked up. Before I was, in the foreign service, I was with GE Capital. I was doing risk analysis, capital market assessments, and I spent quite a bit of time in Taiwan, where I was doing my risk portfolios, particularly on the housing side. So I am reasonably in a position to do risk analysis of sovereigns. So in my own assessment, not because now I'm in the foreign service that I need to support India, I think you can take a bet on this country for the next 15 years. That's how you look at it. What has suddenly transformed over the last 2 years is today we have a government that is extremely focused. It plans to take India into the next century, and that has happened in a very systematic fashion. We have a Prime Minister who is extremely communicative. He is tech friendly. He understands the changes that are happening in the world. He just does not want India to follow technology, but he's today wanting Indian scientists, etc., to map out, forecast what are the technologies that are going to come up for the next 10 to 15 years and try to skill its people to be ready as and when these technologies come to fruition. So to prepare this nation for this kind of a dynamic, he started saying that let us make it easy to do business in this country, and it started off that way. So since then, what happened was, all of you understand we are a federal country, and being a federal country, we have the central government and the states. We are a democracy. It is not necessarily that the national party, which is currently ruling at the center, also governs the states. So it requires immense amount of coordination between the center and the states to ensure that India moves forward. So with the Prime Minister himself having been the head of a state for over a decade, he exactly understands how does the federal structure need to function. So once he became the prime minister, he ensured that the states are given enough resources. So what we saw was a devolution of finances. 42% of all revenues today reach out to the states. This has completely transformed the way states today interact with the center. Today what we are witnessing is a kind of competitive federalism. States are competing. They want to be better than the other state. They are transforming themselves. They want to attract investments. They are proactively going across and meeting investors. A new phenomena that we are noticing is that about 6 states of India today want to open their investment offices globally. This has never happened before. This is what, we used to see, particularly say if you're in the United States or maybe you're in Australia, you could see the provinces of these countries usually used to have their overseas offices. Today you're going to see Gujarat opening up its offices, say in China, in Beijing, in Guangzhou, even in Texas. So this is something very, very new, and this is all happening. So the reason this is happening, that there is excitement, people feel change is coming, and states are willing to partake in this excitement. So on one hand, you find the central government giving greater finances. There has been an entire policy change, particularly as far as FDI is concerned. I don't know if any of you have noticed the papers yesterday. Yesterday, there has been a drastic change, a complete drastic change in India's FDI policy across 10 different sectors. Previously, these sectors used to have something called sectoral caps. These caps have now been taken off. And today, if you really put FDI regimes of the G20 nations, if you map them up, you will find India to be the most liberal FDI destination. So this change would not have happened if you did not have a very active government working at the center. So this is something which all of you need to kind of, take into account. And you see, we have a government that is linking up the whole economy through a variety of initiatives. It all started off with something called as the Make in India program, launched on September 25th of 2014. The Make in India program was supported by something called as the Digital India program, which seeks to take broadband connectivity to 250,000 Indian villages. It's already happening, and it's happening at a much, much faster pace. To support Digital India, the Prime Minister has announced something called as the Startup India. Startup India was primarily targeted at an urban audience, the young Indian who no longer wants to depend on the government for his livelihood. So this is a tremendously good initiative. But that's not it. Since this is aimed at the educated urban youth, the government came up with also called as something called the Stand Up India policy, which is meant to assist the unbanked people. So this is a huge change. You see how he's tackling the economy at almost every juncture. Apart from Stand Up India, we have new initiatives called the Mudra Initiative, which is the bank for the SMEs. Apart from this, the Reserve Bank of India has been giving up new licenses to more financial institutions to come in. So you see what is happening, what we are witnessing today is that the whole country is being connected. And to ensure that things happen as and when they are promised, the Prime Minister is personally monitoring most projects. So what happens essentially is every month on 2 dates, the Prime Minister sits in front of a huge screen which connects him to all the states of India, and he personally monitors every project that has been stuck in the country. So this is unleashing a fresh impetus, and a number of projects which have been stuck are today seeing fruition. They're coming into limelight. Work is happening, roads are being laid. You must have seen in the newspapers, we've announced a project called the Sagarmala project, which plans to modernize India's ports. Apart from this, there is a massive upscaling of the railway. railway connectivity is being improved. Over the next 5 years, we're going to see an investment of $132 billion being put into railways. There is a massive railway modernization program. Railway stations are being modernized on the Swiss Challenge mode. 400 railway stations have already been identified. The government is going to give out contracts for about 10,000 kilometers of roads this year. So you see the economy is not exactly depending on the global growth for its growth. The Prime Minister's initial strategy is there is enough potential in the country. Why doesn't the government take the initial steps of investing domestically? Once you have the domestic economy chugging along, we could really go across globally, because there is so much pent-up demand within India that to satisfy that, you would be adding close to 2 to 3 percentage points to your GDP for the next 15 years. So I think I would stop here, and I would love to take your questions, and thank you so much for calling in today. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Mr. Naidu, for that exciting insider's overview of the Indian economy. I hope I hope everyone here is very excited about hearing Joint Secretary and you speak. Now to get down to the specifics of the India Fellows Program, can I request Geeta and Soumya to take over for the next 10 minutes, please.
Hello everyone, my name is Geeta Krishnan and I am with the Indian School of Business. Delighted to be part of this program, to be part of this initiative, and to be part of Growing India. What I thought I will do is spend a quick minute or so to give you a background about the Indian School of Business. Apurva, if you could go to the next slide, please. Thank you. So some of you may have heard of the Indian School of Business, but I wouldn't be surprised if many of you have not, because we are one of the younger schools when it comes to business schools. We've been in existence for a mere 15 years as we speak. But that said, in these 15 years, we've managed to make a few significant strides. We are the youngest institution ever to be ranked in the top MBA programs by the Financial Times, which is one of the leading ranking bodies in the world. We've also managed to be the first in South Asia to get the AACSP, which is the accreditation body for delivery processes in management education. And more significantly, from the perspective of this program, which comes under the ambit of executive education, because it is a program targeted at senior executives and working professionals and entrepreneurs, we are the leaders in executive education in the Asian region, and we've been doing executive education for the last 15 years, across both our campuses in Hyderabad and in Mohali. Next slide, please. One of the reasons we have been able to kind of accelerate our learning curve and move faster than you would expect a 15-year-old institution to have moved is the global partnerships we struck up right from the get-go. So our founding associate schools are schools that need no introduction when it comes to the world of business education. Wharton, which was the precursor to the MBA program way back in the 1880s, and Kellogg, which is a byword for the MBA program, and especially in the areas of marketing and strategy over the years. We've also got associate school partnerships from the London Business School, which is the leading business school in Europe, and with the MIT Sloan School of Management, particularly from the perspective of manufacturing and infrastructure, where they are the world leaders in those spaces. And the Fletcher School at Tufts University plays a very important role for us because we have an Institute of Public Policy. And we are a school that believes that management, education, and public policy evolution go hand in hand, especially in developing economies like India. So we do a lot of work in public policy as well. Coming closer to the India Fellows Program, Mrs. Vani Rao talked quite a bit about this, and Mr. Naidu also spoke a lot about the need for such a program in the context of the way India is growing. I just wanted to highlight one point to you, which is that the concept of India is something that we've been doing in our programs for the last 7 or 8 years. This program is specifically customized for the diaspora and especially for entrepreneurs, but we have been doing what we call an Inside India program, which targets corporates which are looking to make India their market, either as a supply side or as a demand side, as also for executive MBA programs globally where their students are looking at India as an opportunity for them. So quickly to sum up the India Fellows program, it's really built around 6 pillars. And you experienced part of the first pillar right at the bottom, which is interactions with policymakers, and that's the reason we're working on this program with the Ministry of External Affairs and with the OIFC, because at the end of the day, you need to understand the policy of a country if you want to do business in the country. So that has been a very key pillar for us as we built this program. A second pillar that we worked very closely in is networking with entrepreneurs, because especially when it comes to entrepreneurs and senior executives, peer learning is a very integral element of how you shape your thinking and drive your decision making. So we believe that while we will give you the foundational basis in terms of the academic education, the networking that you can have with Indian entrepreneurs, people who've been in this market, who've been doing their business for years, will be of tremendous value. So networking with entrepreneurs is an important element of the program as you would experience it. The program is built around a year-long engagement because we want to keep the conversation going, because while we have the fourth pillar, which is the India residency, and Mr. Naidu touched on that when he said it's a 12-day residency, what we want to do is to keep the floor open for you to come back and interact with us over a longer duration. So that's the reason we've defined it as a year-long engagement program where we will have webinars every month on selected topics, but we're also keeping that open, so if any of you or if a bunch of you have a set of topics to suggest, we can include those in the webinars in the year-long engagement as well, and that's how we believe that we can build a lasting relationship between you and us. And the program's essential design is experiential, so typically on most days of the program you would have half the day in the classroom and half the day outside, and this outside would be a combination of aspects that make up business. So visits to a marketplace, visits to households, visits to industrial parks. So it's a whole host of visits that are also kind of co-located with the program to ensure that while you learn, you also see what you learn in action, because a lot of these visits are to organizations and institutions which we have worked with in the past and helped shape in their journey as well. Of course, you would have the benefit of ISB's world-class faculty. I bring that up as the last pillar in my conversation because when you talk to a business school, world-class faculty is a fundamental expectation you would have in any program, but that's something that you will definitely have, and Soumya will talk about the individuals in detail. Apurva, the previous slide, please, just one last moment. So in sum, the design of the program is built around these 6 pillars, and below which you've seen the 3 pieces that you would experience. There will be a learning experience, which is what you would expect from an academic institution. There would be a meet, which is in terms of meeting policy makers, meeting other entrepreneurs, meeting other institution builders, and there is an experience which is actually seeing the marketplace, being part of the marketplace, and knowing what it is that the Indian business world is all about. So that's essentially what you can expect from this program, and I'll pass this on to Soumya to talk about the details of the program. Soumya, over to you.
Thank you, Geeta. Apurva, can I have the next slide, please? I will take a few minutes to give you a sneak peek into how your year will look. As part of the year-long engagement, which we have already referred to, this is how we have planned out the year. We will have the first introductory webinar in August, after which you will all come down to India for the 10-day residency at the Indian School of Business, plus 2 days of additional stay at Delhi, where you will be interacting with the policymakers. The focus of the year-long engagement will be to build on the learnings that you've had in the India residency, and then have master classes in few specific areas, and entrepreneurs speak in related areas, so that you are able to get a first-hand experience of how business is run in India. So the webinars are typically held on second Saturday of every month, barring September and December, where we will not be having any webinars, and the exact time and everything will be worked out after we have had a better visibility on the class composition and the geography that the participants will come in. This duration of the webinar will be 2 hours, and then you will need to log on to a WebEx platform similar to what we are using today. Next slide, please. Coming to India residency, this is how the structure will look. It is a 12-day program. You will need to be in India here on the 20th of August. That is when we start the class. And the focus of the residency will be on three things. One is to understanding the India markets. Second is innovation in India. And third is launching and growing entrepreneurial ventures in India. And we will email you the specific dates and all the other details subsequent, so you don't need to note down these details. Next slide, please. Coming to the learn part of the module, we will be starting with the participants understanding the Indian economy. This will be handled by Dr. Amirullah Khan. He is a renowned developmental economist and a visiting faculty at the Indian School of Business, and he's also the advisor to the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation here in India. He will take us through how the economy is running and the sectoral trends that will be very helpful for you to start understanding where the opportunity lies, or if you have a specific industry that you would want to evaluate, we can have a deeper discussion around these topics there. And then we will move on to understand a little about realities of innovating in India. Porus Munshi has helped a lot of organizations think through and then do some breakthrough innovations in their processes, in their strategy, and then he will be also coming and talking to you about innovating in India. And then we will have Professor Dishant Kamda, who will be handling, he's an expert in negotiation, Deputy Dean of Programs at the Indian School of Business, and in fact an award-winning faculty here at the school. He will be talking about negotiation as a skill and in the specific context of India. And the ultimate objective is for us to build entrepreneurial ventures in the opportunity that we have to offer. And then we have Tej Pawan Gando, who is going to bring it all together. He is going to present 4 models of entrepreneurship and business which can be used and adapted to India. And these will give you specific insights about how you can bring your business ideas into reality. Next slide, please. After our stint at Hyderabad, we will travel to Delhi, and this is where our more interaction with policymakers will happen. OIFC has helped Indian School of Business in putting together this segment, and then we have we expect this to be a very exciting interaction for the participants. Most of the names don't need introduction, but I'll just take you through. Dr. Shashi Thrurur, currently a member of parliament, a very successful diplomat and a former UN professional. He's vast experience in policy making, and his understanding of the economy will definitely give us insights. Mr. Amar Sinha from NIA again, and Mr. Amitabh Kant, who is the CEO of Niti Aayog, the outfit which has been charged with transforming India, is going to also be speaking to the participants. Mr. Ramesh Abhishek, Secretary DIPP, who leads the Make in India initiative at this point, and of course Mr. Moole, you have already heard him speak today. And then Dr. Ajay Kumar, he is the person who is leading the Digital India initiative. Next slide, please. And then we come through, and then that interaction is more towards the policymakers and senior government officials, but we will also have another segment where we'll be interacting extensively with the startup and the startup ecosystem. The T-Hub, which is the technology accelerator being developed by the Telangana government in Hyderabad, has had very good successes, and then we will be introducing you to the various elements there. And these angel investors and CII Young Indians Network are young entrepreneurs who are always looking for partnerships and opportunities. We will be putting you in touch with them, and then of course we will be also having a lot of successful professionals and businessmen coming over to interact with you in an informal mixer kind of environment. Next slide, please. We come to the third part, that is the experience. We believe that once you have the classroom sessions and you've met a lot of people, but you have to also experience to understand the opportunity. We will be having very structured visits to village where you and also where you'll be exploring the bottom of the pyramid opportunity. We'll also be interacting with successful multinationals and Indian companies who have made their home in India, and also clusters like semiconductor cluster and the aerospace cluster at Hyderabad is something that we will visit. And also just as an example of innovation in healthcare, we will be taking you to an organization which has redefined healthcare delivery through innovation, has been able to successfully impact the marginalized section of the society. Coming to the admission process, this batch we are going to be accepting 25 applications. So basically we have 25 seats open. Eligibility is that you have to be Indian diaspora, you are either have to be a NRI or a person of Indian origin, and you could be somebody who is an entrepreneur who wanting to start a business in India, or you could be an entrepreneur who is part of a large organization but looking to India for some partnerships, or looking to India as a market or a supply base. We are offering this program at USD 5,000 per participant plus service tax, which is 15%. This is an introductory offer which is applicable for this batch. This fees will include board, lodge, and all program related expenses during the 12-day period and also on the webinars. However, it does not include your travel to India and travel between Hyderabad and Delhi. In terms of dates, last date to apply to this program is July 24th. That is in about a month's time, and that is where it is. Next slide, please. We'll be happy to take questions, and Apurva and myself will be available to interact with you, to give you any specific information that you would require post this webinar. Over to you, Sabia.
Thank you. Thank you, Geeta and Soumya. Soumya, just one correction. While the batch is of 25, all the seats are not open. We've closed, if you remember, almost half the seats are now. Friends, the session is now open for questions. So happy to take any questions from you.